bureaucracy's basement to your ears. This is the weekly meeting of the Queen City Improvement Bureau. Each week, the dedicated staff of the Bureau meet to file reports, make recommendations, and go to sleep on a bed of dot matrix printer papers and old T4s as we attempt to survive on water that drips from the boiler pipes into our open mouths in our sleep. One day, maybe, we'll escape from the subterranean hell that is this basement, but until that day comes, this city is not going to improve itself. So here we stay, improving things. This meeting is now in session.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Much improved.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
From where? What was the bottom that you're improving from?
Oh, no. That was pretty low. I'm not going to lie. There's you know that depression in the broom. Yeah, I was in that depression, just curled up.
Oh no!
And then I stood up and I was like, this is much improved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a huge improvement, but it's something.
Well, I'm glad you got over it.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, that live show that we did last week.
A live show
rendered me voiceless for 2 whole days afterwards. Yeah.
Wow.
So much screaming.
I was on the run from groupies.
Yeah.
So many groupies.
They like you.
They keep on. I think they might be like roaches or mice. I'm not sure, but I like to think of them as my little tiny insect groupies.
That's what we call them. That's what we call them in the sub-basement.
Exactly.
Aiden's groupies.
Aiden's groupies. One day they'll spray for groupies, but until that day
I told them no.
Thank you.
I said not Aiden's groupies.
Oh, great.
Get out of here.
Wow.
Orkin man.
Right. Hey, you've been using my name, which means it's probably time to, spill the beans on attendance.
Yes, we should do that.
I just spilled the beans, pal. Anyway, so far as I know, reliable sources indicate
yes
that you're... Is it
Paul Deshane.
Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Peel.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, well, good, because that's a strange name.
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay, Paul Deshane.
That's me.
And you used my name moments ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's...
Winslow.
That's right.
No, it's Aiden.
Michael Winslow.
Aiden Morgan.
Of Police Academy fame.
Yeah.
I'm well known for my cool sound effects. No, okay, that's me, Aiden Morgan. Or Michael Rooker. Okay,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Also famous.
Also famous. More famous than me.
Or me.
Who is Aiden? All right.
Yeah.
Do we have quorum?
We do not.
One day. Do we have a guest?
We do.
Amazing.
Yeah. We have Daren Anderson, the City of Regina's Chief Financial Officer. Thanks for joining us in the sub-basement.
Thanks for having me down here, guys. It's wonderful. Long-time listener, first-time on.
Hey,
and Paul's voice is kind of coming back.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of coming back.
It's not the most reliable. So feel free to talk a lot.
I'm an accountant. That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to get you on because we're coming into budget season.
Yes.
But you're still fairly new at the city. You started last January, was it?
Yeah, first Monday work day in January, whatever date that was.
Right. Now, had you done municipal accounting before this, or?
No, my background is in finance, so banking, insurance, that kind of stuff. And then, I got asked by a headhunter if I'd be interested, and was sort of, banking is fascinating for an accountant. It's like an army of accountants.
Yeah.
So really enjoyed it, but was looking for something. It's not satisfying in your heart. It's satisfying, lots of... I love doing the technical stuff around banking, but was looking for something more tied to my community. My kids, I coach my kids in sports and that kind of stuff. They are older now, so took a run and I'm really enjoying it.
Cool.
That's been fantastic.
Nice.
Excellent.
So, but this must have been a huge professional challenge because, you come into your job in January, you're still, the election comes along, you're probably still like learning the ropes, putting your like stamp on the position, and then you get a new mayor, a whole new city council, so that you have to now teach how to do like budgeting too. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was a shock, and obviously doing it right away, like throwing this budget on, and sort of everyone's looking at you for answers because everyone is new, and I'm brand new. And so, but lucky, have a fantastic staff. Lots of people who work at the city forever, so really helped me get through it. But it was, trial by fire. Like, it was fascinating, and lots of, at the breaks, I guess, but lots of questions from counselors, and I'm, I think I know the answers, but here's my best guess. But yeah, it was quite the process. Nice of me to go through it a little bit. I was wishing it had happened at the normal time in the fall before I came on, but really got me acclimatized quick, so it was good.
Yeah. So this budget that's coming up, then, this is kind of like this is like the full Anderson.
This is.
Yeah. This is gonna be like,
I believe that's what it says on the cover.
Yeah,
the full
exactly.
Anderson, yes.
We should go back to putting titles on the budgets.
Yeah. I'm game for that. I get a t-shirt. It'll be all good.
Yes.
But and brand new process.
Yeah.
This year for the city, we didn't create this process. We're kind of stealing mostly from the city of Saskatoon, but other cities have done this, where I'll say it's more transparent, and you put a lot more onto the council. So,
so this is the process of having these, like, 5 meetings in the fall to like go over the projection of what the budget might look like.
Yeah, so essentially you take that process that happens internally and you start having it in public, warts and all. So every year you kind of start out with this forecast of what we believe council has put in front of us, right? What we believe council is saying, this is what we want you to accomplish next year. And then, what happens in the background in most years is you have all these conversations around affordability and what's the impact on the taxpayer and all that stuff, and you end up with a recommended budget that you then put in front of council, and they debate that. This more so is saying, well, no, how about we just have those conversations with council and allow the public and you guys to sort of come along with it. It does create some uncertainty. For me, I've been doing this stuff for 30 years, roughly. It's not much different than a fiscal process. I mean, obviously, we would do more with administration, not in public, but I'm used to it starting out at a quote-unquote scary number, as some people have told me, because that's just the way life is, right? Everybody asks for everything, and so that's where you start from a financial perspective, and then you have this process to get it to where it has to be.
Yeah. So the number that we're looking at that has people freaking out, frankly, is 13.54% mill rate, and this is just for operations.
Yes.
Now, you alluded to, like,
it should be more, I think.
We should.
Let's make it like 19, 20.
It needs to be a round number. Yeah.
Yes.
At least 15, but 20 is better.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe I'll get paid by how much we cut. Then we'll go. We'll start as high as possible. I'll get a big bonus if I cut it down to 13.
There's like a stack of money on a table, and the lower you go, the more somebody just moves money over to you.
So it is. So I just want to make sure, all of the accounting nerds that are listening to this. So it includes the current contributions for capital as well.
Explain.
So as part of our annual budget, that has to be a balanced budget. We include the cash requirements that will go into capital for the year. It's roughly $79 million. So, while it's just operating, it's the cash cost of what we're putting into capital as well.
Right. Now, you alluded to, like, previous budgets. We've gone through this before. There is usually this, like, fall prediction that comes out, and it's always, like, a huge number, and then it comes down by December. And so I'm just wondering, like, should people be setting their hair on fire right now about their property tax bill? Or are you going to be able to, like, whittle this down to 3 like we're used to?
Definitely don't set your hair on fire. 3 is probably aggressive, given just what council's asked for. But it'll get down. Again, where council feels comfortable, it's new to me. And this will be new to all the councillors too, obviously. But lots of pressures on the city. A lot of years with low mill rates that, with infrastructure that we haven't been repairing. So eventually that comes due.
Yeah. So is this like, it feels like this is a different year then, that this is like the crows coming home to roost year, and it's falling on your shoulders?
Yeah, I would say it is a little bit. Like talking to my staff and sort of trying to understand what's happened in the past, with lots of pressure from the last council on do anything. Well, inflation is up to 9%. Keep that mill rate at 2.5%. You found every nickel, right? Every which way to kind of manufacture to keep things going while keeping that mill rate down. We've sort of tapped all that out. So, any kind of excess we had in employee benefits, all that kind of stuff we've now used. So there's not a lot of places to look. We did too during the last term, put our money more at use. So we're investing it and we're getting a lot more investment income. But we used that in last budget to kind of buffer this expense increase as well. But that's sort of run out. So yeah, it's a year where, probably a good year where we're trying to be transparent with everyone and go, this is what we spend our money on. If we don't like the cost, then we have to decide what not to spend money on.
Right. Now, one of the things that used to happen at budget time is there would always be like a little surplus from the year before. And then a councillor would say, instead of putting that in the general fund reserve, which is where it used to go or is supposed to go, they would say, well, let's knock that off the mill rate increase. Even before you came on, I noticed that surplus was starting to dwindle to zero and now seems to not be there at all anymore. Is this just like a reflection of the economy changing, or is this like something new in the way we've been accounting and doing business as a city so that that's not there anymore? That buffer doesn't exist any longer?
I would say, again, my recollection, it's more aggressive budgeting, right? So when there's that much pressure on you to keep the mill rate down, and because there's a lot of estimates that happen in running a city out, right? Snowfall. How much is snowfall going to have? How much is your snow removal budget going to be? How much new vehicles do you, like, at what pace do you need to replace buses and trucks and stuff? And I think, you end up, because there's so much pressure internally, really going like, maybe we don't need that extra $500,000 in there. We'll cut that. Maybe we won't, it snowed a lot last year, but hopefully it won't snow as much and we'll get back down to 11 million, right? And I think that's probably the biggest thing, was that instead of being a little bit conservative with areas where there's uncertainty, you start getting a lot more aggressive and going, well, where there's uncertainty or an estimate involved, let's just not move it up. So, and that's really a function too of inflation. So when inflation happens, it's abnormal, especially at that level. So really hard internally when you're doing all of these estimates, and you kind of know in the back of your head, wait, like the cost of this, the cost of asphalt, the cost of sand, the cost of everything is going up. But you put it on a number on a spreadsheet and it's really easy to go, is it really going to go up that much? And so you sit in that room as administration and you go like, yeah, like that seems aggressive. Maybe we'll cut that back. But then reality happens and you end up, like you said, running really close to break even or running a bit of a deficit, which I believe you've done the last 2 years.
Yeah. So can you give people a sense? Because like that, people see the inflation rate, and that's like the consumer inflation rate, right? That's what gets in the news. But you guys face a completely different one. Like, what are you guys seeing in terms of, increased costs on things like asphalt and concrete and bus shelters?
No, great question. And I guess there used to be like a municipal CPI. I don't know what it was called. Some of my colleagues who've been around longer have mentioned that to me. Saskatoon actually did a really good job in their pre-budget stuff for this year. And they showed the inflation of those core products. And it's much higher than actual consumer inflation. So, I dabble a little bit in commodities and say worked with people in the home building supply. Well, wood hasn't moved at all. So the commodity price of a piece of wood is the same or even lower than it was 10 years ago. Right? So when everyone just thinks inflation is the measure of everything, it's that bucket. Unfortunately for a city, a lot of those core products have gone up 30-40%. And so you're really struggling to kind of keep up with that pace. And again, when you're doing budgeting, really hard for you as a human just to think, like, is it really going up that much? Like, and until you start paying the bills, and then you realize, yeah, it is. So you gotta try and leap forward to catch up.
Yeah, and we've seen that happen with a few projects like 11th Avenue, the indoor aquatic facility. Like, short periods of time, these estimates for how much they're going to cost are like skyrocketing. And like you look online, and the people on Reddit are like, "Oh, how can that be happening?" But you know, I'm assuming you're not making this up.
No, not making it up. 11th Avenue is a good example. So most of that, again, is done by the private sector. And so we put that out in a competitive procurement process. And typically we choose, like, we don't always choose the cheapest because we want to make sure it actually gets done. Yeah. But, you know, we're very cognizant of the cost. And so that's what the market can do it at, right? In terms of the pool is a little bit more complex. Yes, we have had high inflation, but it's also the difference between doing a Class D estimate, and now I believe we're up to a Class B, right? It's that refinement. So you don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars getting a perfect cost of the pool if you're not going to do the pool. So you got to balance it with, okay, let's get a Class D estimate to make this big decision. So we know it's $300 million and not 30.
Right.
I'm being exaggerating. But then when you start to go from Class D to Class B and get better, you know, you go from 300 to 340. Part of that's inflation, but part of that's just, okay, we've done more homework now. We realize more of what the cost is going to be.
Right. So Class D would be like a much more sort of high-level view of what pools typically cost. And then you get down to the B where you're actually like pricing out the stuff you're putting in the pool.
Right, and it's both are done by professionals. You know, we don't hold that, so we don't build pools very often. But you go into the marketplace again with engineers who build like buildings. And so, you say, okay, if you only have a week, tell me how much a pool of this magnitude will cost. And they go, you know, take a week, but get to 300. Now they've done months of work, and you get to 340. And eventually you'll get to Class A, and hopefully the 340 is a good number, and don't expect it to go up, but you never know.
We're on 91.3 FM, AccessNow Community Radio, CJTR, to all you oldie oldsters.
That's me.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing now? So you've been through this whole process. I think you've got like a sense of what council wants. They gave you an arm's length list of their, additional questions. What's going on behind the scenes upstairs that you guys are, doing to put together the final budget? Yeah,
so a lot of work this year. Yeah. So, again, I think we made good strides being open and using the extra 5 meetings. I think the councillors understand what we do a lot better, and we provided a lot of detail. But it did open up, like you said, that big list of questions, which is what we're working hard on now, especially the one motion from Councillor Rasnovich to roll back taxes 5%.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That is something that is typically not done. So, and it's a lot of work internally for us, so we've been working hard on that. And then squaring away the capital list. So, of course, our capital needs.
Yeah.
And we don't really put wants on there. Like, it's funny, as an administration, we're busy trying to keep up with needs, and there's still not enough money, even with that $79 million current contribution. So we've developed a process working with consultants at Colliers to rank and to sort of say, okay, how do you make this list? Now we're just refining it more through our senior leadership team and ELT team, and then that'll be presented to council as well. Kind of here's the stuff that we say fits in that $79 million, and then here's the stuff that didn't, and then they'll have to make that decision as well.
So can you give us any scoops on things that you're planning to cut?
I don't plan to cut anything. So I don't want any emails from anyone out there. I've seen enough delegates now to know not to put anything on the table. But
is the Bureau safe? Or do we still have our jobs?
Yeah, we're not planning on doing anything with the basement. You guys can go at her. So yeah, no issues there. But yeah, I think it's not. It's going to be hard. These are hard decisions. Like there's a lot of stuff balancing how much the taxes should be with the services that we should provide is a very difficult balance in an organization this complex.
Yeah.
No easy answers.
But I do think there is some concern out in the community, but because I think they're like to get from this 13%, I think people are expecting there to be priorities that have to get set aside. And I mean, one of the things that you notice when you're going through the city's budget is like the top line item in every unit is staff, right? Like it's people. Like this is what the city's spending money on, and why I assume like you can't just like cut willy-nilly because you've got agreements with people to pay them certain amounts of money, right?
Right.
Like, are we going to see like a transformed city in the sense that we're going to be doing business differently in future? And I don't know, replacing people with robots?
No.
Okay, good.
So the short answer is no. It is like we are a lot of people. We're lifeguards, bus drivers, pothole fillers, right? Accountants, lawyers, IT professionals. So that's what the city is, combined with a whole bunch of facilities and equipment. Yeah. But the vast majority is people, and it's people directly working. So, you know, what we call enabling services in city, which would encompass your accounting, legal, that stuff, is a pretty low percentage. I think it's around 8% at the City of Regina. So there's not a lot of fat there, right? Yeah. The majority of taxpayer money goes directly back into those core services. And so, you know, for us and for me, who's new, it's always a nice idea that you can have everything if you just didn't have some back office people, right? Like, you probably have too many accountants. Well, that's not material on $1 billion budget, right? And so there's no real magic bullet there. And then to the hard thing, and you know, I explained this actually one of my first days to the council in a lunch and learn. You know, inflation is actually great for a provincial government and a federal government. You don't raise taxes, but your revenue grows, right? The price of a bike goes up. GST and PST just gets bigger in dollar terms. That the provincial government didn't have to come out and say, I'm raising your provincial sales tax. They just said the price of a bike went up, so I'm going to collect more, right? I think in this term, long term of the SAS party, I think they started out with $7-8 billion worth of revenue. They're now up over $21 billion. Right, and so you go, but they weren't coming out every year raising taxes. Right. They take advantage of the fact that the economy grows, etc. We get a little bit of that, right? We get some growth. The hard part when your major revenue source is based on property taxes, and the province says you're not allowed to increase taxes through the inflationary pressures on housing. So when we reassess properties, we actually roll the mill rate back. We actually do a rate cut. And I said, we don't do a good job of selling that. We actually cut rates this year. We just didn't, shout it from the rooftops. And so, everyone looks at municipal governments and goes, why do you guys keep raising taxes? Well, just inflation. Inflation alone. So, when we just renegotiate a lot of our union contracts, to your point, a big chunk of our expenses is people. They've been approved by council to get raises, various amounts. The mill rate then has to go up to pay that because we don't get the advantage of inflation like other levels of government. So so politically that's very hard to be. You're always raising taxes, right? And it's just sort of the nature of the beast, but it's really difficult for people to understand that. Why is the city always going up and the province isn't?
Yeah. Actually, I should have started to ask this at the top. Can you explain, and we've only got like a couple of minutes before we go into the commercial, but what is a mill rate and how do you set it?
Perfect. So, yeah, the mill rate is essentially the rate of tax you pay on your dwelling based on the assessed value. So if your assessed value is $100,000 and the mill rate's 5%, you'd pay 5% tax on that $100,000. Pretty straightforward.
But you call
it's complicated.
It's a mill rate.
Yes.
Because it's like based on 1,000, I'm assuming.
No, it's based on windmills.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Thought everybody knew this.
Now you're stumping me because I've never really thought about it. I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't care about the mill rate.
Yeah.
Mill rate is more of a function of the value of the homes in your community.
Yeah.
The cost of pushing snow doesn't care about the value of the house that you're pushing for snow in front of.
Yeah.
So it's more, I look more at the dollar. How much does it cost for the median household for municipal services, and how much does that compare to Calgary, Edmonton, Saskatoon?
Yeah.
Not the rate itself.
And you guys work backwards, though, right? Like, you work out how much money the city needs in a year and then set the mill rate. You don't, set the mill rate, see how much money that gets you.
No, we work backwards. So you set the budgets. That's like, we have a gap now of 13.5%.
Yeah.
So we'll calculate what that gap is, find out how much money we need, and then we have some really brilliant people on my team that go calculate what the mill rate is for all the different types of properties we have in the city, commercial, residential, etc. And I think it's to 6 decimal places too. It's quite a very technical, right? It's not like PST 6%. It's a very technical number that gets us to that dollar figure.
Yeah. And then commercial gets a different mill rate, then houses get a different mill rate, and you guys have to figure all that out.
Correct. So I think there's 7 different, there's farmland, there's commercial, there's golf courses have their own mill rate.
Huh.
So I think multifamily, because multifamily is complex versus just a single door household when you have a multi-door building. But yeah, so it's very complex on the back end around what your actual mill rate is.
Right. So you have some mentats locked in a room who are just focused on working out all these calculations.
Just taking spice and figuring things out. Folding time and space as well.
Yeah.
Guild navigators. Okay, never mind.
Cool. I guess we have innovative revenue tools that we can swing to right now. Do you have any innovative revenue tools?
I do.
Because they seem appropriate, considering we have the CFO here finally.
I do. I have a very innovative, very revenue tool.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, and it's related to something that you said earlier, Darren, which was talking about the price of wood as a commodity has barely changed. So it seems to me we have kind of a solution here. We can use more wood. Roads, make them out of wood. The pool, make it out of wood. The pool water, just paint some wood blue. Look like wood.
This is good.
Police officers, make them out of wood. They couldn't do a lot, but they look like they were doing something. So it might be some deterrence there. I think if we just made everything as much as possible out of wood, we'd find some savings pretty quick.
The lumberyards are your biggest fan.
They are.
I will say that's technically not a revenue. That would be saving expenses, which is also good.
Yeah, I don't
think we'd get extra revenue.
I'm coming at this from an unexpected angle.
Yes.
So, which may be a little too out of the box for accountants, but I don't know anything about accounting, so I just say things.
I appreciate everything is on the table.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so there's no bad ideas.
So
in this room, there's no bad ideas in this room.
No, there aren't.
So can you squeeze in a report on using more wood?
Yeah,
in time for the budget?
I don't know. my team's pretty busy. They might might not appreciate that, but I'll float the idea.
Let's sell the surplus wood at a gross markup.
Hey,
there we go. There's some revenue.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Start running lumberyards.
Like it. City's now in the lumber business, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On that note, we are going to go to innovative revenue tools. And we're back from innovative revenue tools.
Good tools, such good tools.
Always.
Timely tools.
Very timely. Yes. Or out of time.
Over timely tools.
Yeah. Another thing that came up around budget time, Darren. Oh, we're here with Daren Anderson, by the way, the Chief Financial Officer the city, talking about the budget. But there was also the reserve report on October 8th, which, feeds into the whole budget narrative. This is a big report. Now, first of all, I have a bone to pick with you, because you've added 4 reserves: noise attenuation, heritage property incentive, city center incentive, and the sinking fund reserve.
Why so many reserves? Now, is what we've been saying down here.
The sinking fund reserve, that is a terrible name for reserve. It sounds like you're flushing money down a toilet. And then, to top it all off, I thought that's where the joke would end. But then I went and read the description of the sinking fund. And it says, the sinking fund is required under the borrowing bylaw and used to retire the bullet debenture at maturity. None of this sounds good or is particularly explanatory. What is the sinking fund reserve, and what is this bullet debenture that's going to mature?
So first I want to say, you definitely have a job in our communications department, because they said the exact same thing when doing the media lines for this. To me, it's impressive. But again, my background is in banking, so it just sounds impressive. Essentially, all it is when we borrowed money for the pool, we borrowed, for the network expansion, it's probably easier. The water network expansion, we borrowed $100 million. Okay. And in the marketplace, we borrowed where we owe the $100 million 30 years from now. Right. So we pay the interest every year, but we don't pay any of the principal back until 30 years from now. Okay. So as a city, we don't like, that's called liquidity risk. That's basically, how do we know we're going to have $100 million 30 years from now?
Right. You could just roll the dice.
Right. Like, I will be retired. I'll tell you that much. Barring some sort of new miracle,
we'll still be here,
cure. Though, but we, as a city, want to make sure we're being fiscally responsible. And so what we've done is, and the technical term for it is a sinking fund. But essentially, it replaces that principal payment that you would have on, say, a normal mortgage for your house, where you're paying principal every month. We're putting money into a sinking fund that then we invest, and by the time we get to the 30-year period, we'll have $100 million in it. So that's what the reserve is for, is that every year we're going to put money into the sinking fund. It's a technical term. I never thought that it might sound funny. I'm an accountant, but that's all it is. And so essentially it's just a bank account. Like reserves really are separate bank accounts, if you think of it in layman's terms. And so it's just a bank account that we will put money in every year, and so that we're not putting this burden on somebody 30 years from now going, oh, how am I going to pay back this $100 million? Right. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it does. Thank you.
I hope I took all the fun out of it.
Yes.
But so is it too late to get a new name, or does it have to stay sinking fund reserve?
It has to stay sinking. Well, again, it's a technical term. So bullet debentures, right. Because I had my communications people say, call it debt. It's not debt. Like, so once like in my world, so I'm dealing with capital markets people too. I'm sure they're all listening to this show, people in Toronto who bought our debt. Yeah. Right? We need to be technical too at times, so that those people understand what the city's doing. Right? I have to go out to those and talk to the market, and those people want to know exactly what we're doing. So those people understand what a bullet debenture is. They understand what a sinking fund is, etc. Okay. That's why we use that terminology.
Well, I was going to say, now they're all listening to this, so when you go out, they'll be like, yeah, we've heard this before. Yeah, thanks. We listened to the show. So.
Yeah.
Well, you could call it something like the Bullet Fund, the Sinking Fund.
That would be pretty good. Get some posters made up, movie-style posters. Starring Daren Anderson. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas, Alicia Silverstone, and Daren Anderson.
We could get you some holsters with some slide rules that you can whip out.
I like it.
Yeah, take on the threat of debt.
As long as I get a free T-shirt, I'm good.
Okay,
cool.
I come cheap.
We do have some free T-shirts. They don't have anything to do with bullet debentures or sinking funds. They say pounded.
Not yet. You mean not yet? When the listenership of this show explodes, you guys will have all types of bullet debenture merch. So
you never know. That might end up being on a rotating roster of quips and slogans.
Yeah, we have a slow week. We have to turn bullet debenture into a bit.
It's that week, is it? The bullet debenture bit.
Yeah. Okay, but the reserve report, so this came from Audit and Finance Committee, and it got dropped in the lap of council one day. And I tuned in because I was like, the reserve report is usually such a drag. And the way it got described by the councillors who were on the Finance Committee, it was like the sky was falling. Like, it was one of the most dramatic reserve reports I have experienced in all the years that we've been doing this. This is like one of those reports. We don't even usually report on it.
No.
But it sounded bad. I remember there was one counselor at one point was talking about how if the general fund keeps going down at this rate, eventually it's going to go to zero. And if we don't have any money, that would be bad. I paraphrase.
Yes.
So
start having to sell wood.
Yeah. Is the sky falling? Are our reserves like bottoming out? Are we doomed?
Are we doomed?
No.
No?
So no, we're in the same boat as every other city.
Yeah.
You know, it's where the reserve report is important in understanding is that, you know, we can't continue down the path that this city and most other cities have been on for the last 3 decades.
Right.
You know, if we do that, instead of us making hard decisions, actual assets will start making decisions for us.
Yeah.
And so the reserve report is just a way for us to see that. So we forecast out and go, like, if we don't change, we're going to run out of reserves in general. Now, we got some runway. It's not tomorrow. And again, a lot of the stuff is based on estimates. But important use of reserves and why we use them is for this purpose, is to try and understand, you know, what type of financial situation we're in. For me, you know, if I was to pick one reserve, the Asset Revitalization Reserve, I think the ARR, is light. So that's the fund that we have to sort of replenish our capital assets and our facilities. Easy, you know, think of a roof on a leisure center. You know, what some other jurisdictions have done is that fund is more robust, and therefore when you're making decisions on capital, there's money put away. Right, you're not always going to current taxpayers to pay for repairs to roofs.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to come up with a process for bolstering that reserve over time. And there's other communities that do it, and so it's my job to put those processes in place and work with council on it. Again, doesn't mean we're doomed. Just means we have to start looking at things a little bit differently, and how we are more intentional about making sure that the assets, it's you know, it's lots of fun to build a new pool and not so much fun to save for replacing the roof on the new pool. But my job's not fun. That's why I enjoy it. So my job is to make sure to work with council on that, and so that was a fun conversation for me.
Yeah.
One that you're referring to. And I kind of got stuck in the middle of councillors. But, you know, for me, we can't keep doing what we've been doing. And I think the mayor paraphrased it best. But that doesn't mean that we're in some sort of dystopian position.
Yeah. About that Asset Revitalization Reserve. So the reserves have minimums and maximums that you impose on them. And asset revitalization currently is like $500,000, and the maximum is $18 million. And I think it's sitting at something like $1.1 million, right? So it's, you know, it was on the table. It was one of the green reserves. It was, you know, above its minimum. And you're proposing jacking the minimum up to $18 million and the maximum up to $17 million or $72 million. So that reserve will now go to red. Do you see how you're making your job harder for you?
Well, yes and no. So again, I feel better that the numbers are higher because it gives us a more realistic range to be in.
Yeah.
You know, $500,000 doesn't pay for a lot of roofs.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess somewhere in that 2% range is of your replacement value of all your assets is where you want to be to feel kind of comfortable, because that's your typical replacement rate. And so we have, $800 million worth of assets in city proper and facilities, and then another 400 million-ish at real.
Yeah.
So, right, that all of a sudden those numbers become really big. So if you want 2% doesn't seem like a lot until you're dealing with $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
And so that's where we think we're being more prudent in putting those mins and maxes on there, and to start to have the conversation with council. And obviously it was noticed.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. And now it's about, okay, how are we going to make these hard decisions, right? And going forward, we either need to start to replenish that reserve, or we're going to start losing assets, right? And that either becomes a council decision to purposely reduce the number of facilities we have, or eventually you have something go wrong at a facility and you don't have the money to fix it, and you've now boarded up a facility. If that makes sense.
I don't know if this question will be too political, and if you don't want to answer it, don't. I remember back, a long time ago, it was in the 2000s, there was the Infrastructure Summit here in Regina. And one of the things that the keynote speaker had to say, she was an asset management specialist, and she was talking about how cities have to do exactly what you were saying with this asset management reserve, which is, put away 2% every year to make sure that you have money not just to fix the roofs, but to replace the roads, because all your assets need to be not just fixed, but replaced eventually. And so that speech was made at this, and there were mayors from across the country at this summit, and it was received extremely well. And it feels like after that, nobody went off and did that. Why didn't cities get the message, back in 2009? Why are we just getting to this now after a pandemic's worth of inflation?
Yeah, Daren.
Yeah, Daren.
Yeah.
So, I would say that's not a political question. It's just really hard to get people to save money. So, in general, really hard to get people to save money. And so that's really hard in a municipal environment. Right? Again, when you're layering on this having to raise taxes every year and this political pressure to keep that down as much as possible, it's really easy to forego what is going to be required 10 years from now. And so I'd say there are a small number of municipalities that did follow that heed and do have a decent amount of money put away in reserves like this. And their current councils are having an easier job replacing things. City of Saskatoon's actually done a decent job. So, I don't know if am I supposed to spit every time I say City of Saskatoon? I don't know. Anyways, no.
They're not listening.
They're doing a job. But most cities are in our state because of that fact. It's politically, I guess, councillors have to get reelected every 4 years. Not a lot of people are getting reelected saving for a roof 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Roads are a little bit different. I think roads, because they're continual, you just have to have a continual amount every year, and you have to decide how many roads you should be paving every year, and you can't let it get to a spot where, right, oh, geez, it ran down. We do a really... I'm fascinated by all the engineers I get to work with now, but classifying all of our roads in the city by different classes and making sure that we're upgrading to a minimum standard. What you don't want is for you to, in a 4-year period, get too many roads into that bottom tier, right? So you don't necessarily need a reserve for that. You just need to make sure that you're keeping up with your roads so that you don't get to a spot where, oh my gosh, how did we triple the amount of kilometers of roads that we need to repave this year.
Right. How are you going to find, I guess that's the question mark, and I think you've been tasked with figuring this out. We do have reserves that have a plan for how they get money into them, right? Like the land development reserve, it gets money from land we develop. Yeah. Is asset management, is it basically going to be, or asset revitalization, will it be getting just a transfer from the mill rate, or is there going to be do you have some other sense of how you're going to set up a plan to fill these reserves up?
So in terms of facility renewal and asset revitalization, what's become best practice is you would put away that 2% every year. So Regina actually determined 2% was our number, I believe, back in 2014, 2013, I can't remember. Saskatoon used that report and some others and have a target of 1.2%. Right? It's not a science, but so you want to roughly put away that amount every year into that reserve, and you have to find ways to fund it. So right now that Saskatoon has that process, and there's multiple ways in which they collect that, it's a lot different than starting from scratch.
Right.
So that's the thing I've talked to my staff about, is how do you get started? Because once you get started, it becomes a lot easier. Other municipalities have used things like on facilities, doing a charge on that replacement value every year. So if someone's leasing that facility or using that facility, you have to make sure that you're getting that 2% and putting it into that reserve. So you take every facility and figure out, okay, what methodology do we use? Sometimes it's the mill rate, probably in most cases. But are there users of the facility? How do we recoup that? Just to understand that money gets put away.
Right. So it could be like the ticket tax at the stadium, like have like a little 5 cents on a use of the pool every time you go.
So Mosaic Stadium's a great example. So when we did Mosaic Stadium, we set up a reserve specifically for it, and we have that money being put away every year.
Right.
So for that big facility, we actually did that process, and we have, it was built in originally into, okay, how are we going to pay for this over the next 30 years? We contemplated that. We will contemplate that with a new pool, right? When we have a major infrastructure project, it's just how do you start with all of the stuff that should have been started 30, 40, 50 years ago? How do you now start today? Right. That's sort of the challenge on my plate is to, get us there somehow.
Will this reserve plan come out at budget time, or is this something for next year?
So as part of the report, we actually put as one of the recommendations that we put forward a plan to replenish the reserves.
Okay.
So this is one reserve out of the 20 odd we have, 25 now or something. I can't remember the exact number. But we're going to put forward as part of budget, and it'll go on to the enhancements list. Start to get technical how it's all going to work together.
That's the extra money.
That's the extra money. Yeah. It's the add-ons. And so we'll put that forward and hopefully have a good conversation around it at budget. But again, that's where it becomes difficult, is to kickstart this. How do you kickstart something like this that we know is in everyone's best interest, but how do you weigh today with tomorrow?
Yeah. What about the general fund? That's the one that is kind of alarming, how much it's going down. And it is it's our emergency fund. That used to be funded by the surplus every year, and we're not making those so much anymore. Is that just going to have to be coming off the mill rate as well? So the fund itself is, like you said, it's your retained earnings in a normal organization. Yeah. So your profit or loss falls to it every year. Council also can pay for things mid-year, in between budget cycles, out of it. So if you have something come up, an emergency, sort of that's your fund that you can pull from if it hasn't been budgeted. It is below the minimum, and we have to put forward a plan to council to say how are we going to get back up. And this would most likely be the mill rate, obviously, because it's your overall retained earnings. Am I concerned that it's below? No. In general, I understand why. When, if you came to me and just said, hey, we're running a city and inflation's going to go to record highs, that's what that fund is for, right? Yeah. Like I said, all those complexities of budgeting around changing these estimates while inflation's going up, that's your buffer. So, okay, I can understand why we went below the minimum, but now that inflation is stabilized, you need to do the opposite. You need to come up with a plan of, I need to build in. So, everyone wants every dollar to go into wood now.
Yes, they do. For good reason.
But we're going to have to put some into buying wood next year, right? And so we're going to have to find some mill rate there to start to bolster that, because there has to be a way to get back up other than hoping that it doesn't snow. I still hope it doesn't snow.
Yeah, right.
But we can't rely on that.
No. Can't budget around no snow.
What about a giant roof over the city?
Made of wood.
It's all this made of wood. Thank you very much. I like it when you include my plans. I feel included. And then all the snow can maybe can fall on Moose Jaw or something.
Yeah.
Or an Indian Head on the other side.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that a serious question?
It's wow.
Nice.
That's great. Okay, you win. You win Guest of the Year.
QCIB.
Yes, QCIB Guest of the Year.
We're on 91.3 FM, CJTR, AccessNow Community Radio. We're the Queen City Improvement Bureau. We're talking with Daren Anderson, the CFO for the City of Regina. Mm-hmm. One thing about the reserve report, though, that I don't think got mentioned enough, personally, is that, yes, the reserves are low, but we bought a lot of awesome stuff with that money, right? We drew down from it, but yes, that's the great thing about spending money is you get stuff. Ooh. So
yeah, and stuff is awesome. As an accountant, it's a liability. So that's my job, is to remind everyone that it's a liability,
right?
And to be fiscally prudent with that liability.
You know what you need? You need a hype man. You need a Flava Flav.
Very nice.
So when you're oh, this is a liability, he can be like, yo, boy, but we got awesome stuff.
That is true.
Yeah.
What if council gets a hype man? And it becomes a battle of hype men?
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, rap battles. That's how the budget should be decided.
Yeah. I'm game for that.
Yeah.
Make it entertaining.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty entertaining these days.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you came in January. I think we would agree that this is one of the most tumultuous periods that council has been through the last couple of years.
It's been turbulent seas, yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Do you regret taking this job?
Today, no.
Okay.
I hope that's the right answer. Overall, I love it. For me, again, I feel like I actually am improving my community, using my skills, hopefully in the long term, to do that. The people are fantastic. So the people I work with are fantastic. And I think, I get engaged by the hard stuff, right? And so it's challenging for sure. This is the most stressful job I've ever had.
Oh, yeah?
Sure. Yeah. Much more stressful than managing a bank's balance sheet, but it's...
Really?
Yeah, it's very, again, as an accountant with an army of accountants around you in a bank, you're very, right, there's very technical, stressful things you're dealing with, but it's not so in the public. It's not that direct. No one really knew where I worked before. Now all of a sudden everyone who sees me goes, hey, I got my taxes increased. Thanks a lot, buddy. So, there's a whole nother level to it. But I'm engaged fully. I usually get into work early, so that's a good sign for me. Nice. I'm not dragging my butt into work. I don't like that it's getting darker and darker. That makes it a little bit harder to get out. But for me right now, it's a lot of fun. And I don't know if you guys want to talk, but I get jacked. We're competing for people around the world. That's how I go into work every day.
Wow.
Right? So we'll put climate change aside as one of the bigger risks that we're facing as a municipality. That we're already seeing and facing, but the demographic shift is absolutely fascinating, right? I just saw the other day Ireland's offering people money to move there. Wow. Right? You have all the stories in Italy of the $1 houses. This onslaught of the reduction in population around the world. Cities, I don't know what happens when a city like Regina starts to degrow, right? Or have negative growth.
Right. Yeah.
And so for me, we're lucky. We have a lot of people around the world who want to move here, and we have to try and keep them here. And to me, we're competing with Winnipeg, Edmonton, Calgary for those people, for those bright minds. And so how are we going to put our best foot forward? And that's what gets me excited every day when I come in.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks, Daren, for coming in and going through this. You've got a stressful couple of months, eh? Coming up.
Busy time.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
When does the draft budget come out?
It'll come out November 20th.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we start, I think it's December 15th. It's a Monday when deliberation starts.
Right on. And it's like 5 days again.
It's 5 days again, so we added, it was supposed to just be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but council decided to add on Monday and Tuesday just to be careful.
Okay. But that doesn't guarantee we're going to go 5 days, right? We could do one?
Yeah.
Back in olden times, they did them in a day.
Yeah, I would say we're probably going to have too many delegates to do it in a day.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I wouldn't put my last $5 on it being a day. But hopefully we'll get through it and it'll be a good process.
Right on. Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming in. We're running out of time, but we've got another innovative revenue tool.
Yes. If you're looking to... If you're looking for revenue and you're a radio station like AccessNow Radio, you could do worse than a 50-50 lottery. And there's one on. Tickets are 1 for $20, 5 for 40, 10 for 50. The more you buy, the better your chance to win. That's how it works. Gear up for the holidays with a pocket full of cash. From AccessNow Radio, support community broadcasting. That's us at the same time. Get your tickets at accessnowradio.ca. Stay tuned in to hear updates on the pot. That's the pot of money. And how much you can win. Draw date is November 27th. Pot is over $1,000. Wow. Oh, and we can add our own flavor to the message. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep this flavorless.
Well, no, I'm just going to say...
Flavorless and bland.
Municipal 50-50.
Hey.
Well, yes, I know.
That I can get behind.
Okay.
Yeah. Start talking to the province.
Say like...
We'll open that up.
0.1% of every, property tax bill that you pay would go into a 50-50 draw. So when you're paying your taxes, you have a chance of winning a pot of money
to
pay your taxes.
Yeah, nice.
I like it.
Okay.
I'm going to run that one. The wood, so I got 2 ideas.
Okay. Wood, municipal 50-50.
Municipal 50-50.
Well, we could be the wooden city of lotteries.
Yeah.
That's what they'd call us.
Yeah, and then a fall supper.
Nice.
Fall supper.
Yeah. Right before the budget,
exactly.
Everybody comes to City Hall for turkey and mashed potatoes, and
it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
And they do the 50-50 draw.
Yeah.
At the end of the fall supper.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Could have a silent auction.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then we can throw things at the wooden policeman. It'll be good. Yeah.
Anyways, we are pretty much right out of time.
So should I?
I'm right out of voice.
Okay, move to adjourn.
I would second that motion.
All right then. Motion's adjourned. Our motion is passed. Meeting's adjourned. You've been listening to the Queen City Improvement Bureau, 91.3 FM, AccessNow Community Radio. Tune into the community. Our hosts are Paul Deschen and Aidan Morgan. Guest today is Daren Anderson, CFO of City of Regina. Music by Guidewire and Kim Fury. We are broadcast live 7 to 8 p.m. on Thursday evenings. Rebroadcast Monday afternoons 3 to 4 p.m. Listen to us as you drive your kids home from school and hope we don't swear accidentally. You can find us at accessnowradio.ca and also at, where is it? QCIB.com. That's
QueenCityIB.
QueenCityIB.com. I'll get that right one day. I think that's it. Coming up next, we might hear The Record Room or just some music all on through the night. That's it. Keep on improving, Regina.